Knowing your worth is the foundation of every decision you make, every boundary you set, and every relationship you choose to nurture or walk away from. It's the quiet understanding that you are enough just as you are without needing to prove it to anyone else. But let's be real, this isn't something that comes naturally to most of us. We live in a world that constantly tries to define our value for us. It tells us we're only as good as our job title, our bank account, our social media following, or how much we're willing to sacrifice for others. And if we're not careful, we start to believe it. We start to shrink ourselves, dim our light, and settle for less than we deserve because we're afraid of being too much or not enough. But here's the truth, your worth isn't up for debate. It's not something you earn or lose based on your mistakes, your past, or how others treat you. It's inherent. It's unshakable. It's the very essence of who you are. And when you truly grasp that, it changes everything. You stop begging for crumbs of attention, validation, or love from people who don't see your value. You stop apologizing for taking up space or having needs. You stop settling for relationships, jobs, or situations that drain you instead of pour into you. Because you realize that you deserve more. You deserve respect. You deserve honesty. You deserve reciprocity. You deserve to be celebrated, not tolerated. Knowing your worth isn't about arrogance or entitlement. It's about self-respect. It's about recognizing that you are a masterpiece created with purpose and no one has the right to treat you like anything less. It's about understanding that you don't have to chase people, opportunities, or validation to feel whole. You are already whole. And when you operate from that place of wholeness, you stop attracting people who see your kindness as weakness, your generosity as an opportunity to take advantage, and your love as something they can manipulate. You start attracting people who see you, truly see you, and honor the gift of your presence in their lives. But let's not sugarcoat it. Knowing your worth can be lonely at first. It requires you to make hard decisions. It might mean walking away from relationships that no longer serve you, even if you still care about the person. It might mean saying no to opportunities that look good on the surface but don't align with your values or goals. It might mean standing up for yourself in situations where it would be easier to stay silent. And yes, it might mean disappointing people who've grown comfortable with the version of you that prioritizes their needs over your own. But here's the thing, you weren't put on this earth to make everyone else comfortable at the expense of your own peace. You were put here to live boldly, love deeply, and walk in the fullness of who you are. When you know your worth, you stop seeking external validation to feel good about yourself. You don't need someone else to tell you you're beautiful, smart, or capable because you already know it. You don't need to chase after people who don't value because you understand that their inability to see your worth doesn't diminish it. You don't need to stay in situations that make you feel small because you know you were created for more. And when you truly embrace that, you become unstoppable. You stop settling for less than you deserve, and you start demanding the love, respect, and opportunities that align with your value. Knowing your worth also means giving yourself grace. It means understanding that you're not perfect, and that's okay. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have moments of doubt. You're going to face challenges that test your confidence. But even in those moments, your worth doesn't change. You are still deserving of love, respect, and all the good things life has to offer. And when you internalize that truth, it becomes easier to extend the same grace to others. You stop holding people to impossible standards and start seeing them as human beings who are also trying to figure it out. But here's the key. You don't let their imperfections become an excuse for them to mistreat you. You hold them accountable while still holding space for growth. Ultimately, knowing your worth is a journey, not a destination. Something you have to remind yourself of daily, especially when the world tries to convince you otherwise. It's about choosing yourself even when it's hard. It's about standing firm in your value even when others try to diminish it. And it's about living a life that reflects the truth of who you are, a life where you don't settle for less than you deserve, where you don't shrink to make others comfortable, and where you don't apologize for taking up space. Because you are worthy. Not because of what you do or what you have, but because of who you are. And when you truly believe that, it changes everything. Stop chasing. It's a simple phrase, but it carries so much weight. How many of us have spent years running after people, opportunities, or validation, hoping that if we just try hard enough, we'll finally feel seen, heard, and valued? We chase after relationships that drain us, jobs that don't fulfill us, and dreams that aren't even ours, all because we're afraid of what might happen if we stop. We're afraid of being left behind, of being forgotten, of being alone. But here's the hard truth. Chasing doesn't lead to fulfillment. It leads to exhaustion. It leads to resentment. And it leads to a life where you're so busy trying to prove your worth to everyone else that you forget to value yourself. When you stop chasing, you take back your power. You stop giving away pieces of yourself to people who don't appreciate them. You stop begging for attention from those who are too distracted, too selfish, or too indifferent to give it. You stop trying to force connections that were never meant to be, and in that space of stillness, you begin to see things more clearly. You begin to understand that you don't have to chase what's meant for you. What's meant for you will find you. What's meant for you will meet you where you are without you having to beg, plead, or compromise your worth. But stopping the chase isn't just about letting go of what doesn't serve you. It's also about starting to value what you already have. It's about recognizing the beauty in the present moment, even if it's not perfect. It's about appreciating the people who show up for you, the opportunities that align with your purpose, and the dreams that light your soul on fire. When you stop chasing, you create space for gratitude. You begin to see that you don't need more to be happy. You just need to value what's already in front of you. Valuing yourself means setting boundaries. It means saying no to things that drain your energy and yes to things that fill you up. It means prioritizing your mental, emotional, and physical well-being, even if it disappoints others. It means understanding that your time, your energy, and your love are precious and they should be given to people and pursuits that honor and respect them. When you start valuing yourself, you stop settling for less than you deserve. You stop accepting breadcrumbs when you deserve the whole loaf. You stop allowing people to treat you as an option when you know you're a priority. Valuing yourself also means trusting your intuition. It means listening to that quiet voice inside that tells you when something isn't right, even if you can't explain why. It means honoring your feelings, even when they're inconvenient or uncomfortable. It means believing in your ability to decisions that are in your best interest, even if they're not popular or understood by others. When you trust yourself, you stop second-guessing your worth. You stop seeking validation from external sources and start finding it within. But let's be honest, stopping the chase and starting to value yourself isn't easy. It requires courage. It requires you to confront the parts of yourself that feel unworthy, the parts that believe you have to earn love, respect, and success. It requires you to let go of the familiar, even if the familiar is painful, and step into the unknown. And it requires you to be patient with yourself as you unlearn old patterns and embrace new ones. But here's the thing, every step you take toward valuing yourself is a step toward freedom. It's a step toward a life where you're not constantly running after something or someone, but instead walking confidently in the direction of your dreams. When you stop chasing, you also stop comparing. You stop measuring your worth against someone else's highlight reel. You stop feeling like you're behind because someone else's path looks different from yours. You start to understand that your journey is unique and it's unfolding exactly as it should. You start to celebrate your progress, no matter how small, and you stop discounting your achievements because they don't look like someone else's. When you value yourself, you realize that your story is yours alone and it's worth telling. Valuing yourself also means forgiving yourself. It means letting go of the mistakes, the regrets, and the what-ifs that keep you stuck in the past. It means understanding that you're human and you're allowed to stumble, fall, and get back up again. It means giving yourself permission to heal, to grow, and to evolve. When you forgive yourself, you stop carrying the weight of your past and start embracing the possibilities of your future. Ultimately, stopping the chase and starting to value yourself is about reclaiming your life. It's about choosing to live on your own terms, not someone else's. It's about understanding that you are enough just as you are, and you don't need to chase after anything or anyone to prove it. It's about creating a life that reflects your worth, a life where you're not constantly running after something, but instead standing firmly in the truth of who you are. And when you do that, you'll find that what you've been chasing after was within you all along. Your absence speaks louder than your presence. It's a powerful statement, one that challenges the way we often think about relationships, connections, and our own self-worth. We live in a world that glorifies constant availability, where being present, whether physically, emotionally, or digitally, is often seen as a measure of our value. We're taught to believe that if we're not there, if we're not showing up, if we're not making ourselves seen and heard, we'll be forgotten. But what if the opposite is true? What if your absence, your silence, your decision to step back could say more than your presence ever could? When you remove yourself from a situation, whether it's a relationship, a job, or a toxic environment, you create space. space for reflection, space for growth, space for others to feel the weight of your absence. And in that space, something profound happens. People begin to realize what they've taken for granted. They begin to see the value you brought to their lives, the light you added to their world, and the void that's left when you're no longer there. Your absence becomes a mirror reflecting back the truth of your worth, not just to others, but to yourself. But here's the thing, your absence only speaks loudly if you've first shown up fully. If you've given your all, poured your heart into something or someone and shown them what it means to have you in their life, because it's only when you've been fully present that your absence can be felt. It's only when you've loved deeply, worked tirelessly, or shown up consistently that your absence can carry weight. If you've never truly been there, your absence won't mean much. But if you've been a force of love, kindness, and strength, your absence will be deafening. Your absence also speaks to your boundaries. It says, I know my worth and I won't settle for less. It says, I refuse to stay in a situation where I'm not valued, respected, or appreciated. It says, I'm willing to walk away, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. I'm just saying, and when you send a powerful message, not just to others, but to yourself, you remind yourself that you are not an option. You are not a backup plan. You are not someone who can be taken for granted. You are a priority, and if others can't see that, then your absence will make it clear. But stepping back isn't just about sending a message to others. It's also about giving yourself the space to heal, to grow, and to rediscover who you are outside of the situation or relationship. When you're constantly present, constantly giving, constantly pouring into others, it's easy to lose sight of yourself. It's easy to forget what you need, what you want, and what you deserve. But when you step back, you create an opportunity to reconnect with yourself. You give yourself the chance to breathe, to reflect, and to remember that your worth isn't tied to how much you give or how much you're needed. Your worth is inherent, and your absence can be a powerful reminder of that. Your absence also has the power to shift dynamics. It can force people to confront their own behavior, their own choices, and their own shortcomings. It can make them realize that they've been taking you for granted, that they've been neglecting your needs, or that they've been underestimating your value. And sometimes that realization is enough to spark change. Sometimes it's enough to make them step up, to make them fight for you, to make them see what they've been missing. But even if it doesn't, even if your absence doesn't lead to the outcome you hope for, it still serves a purpose. It still reminds you and them that you are not someone who can be easily replaced. Your absence also speaks to your strength. It takes courage to walk away, to step back, to remove yourself from a situation that no longer serves you. It takes courage to say, I deserve better, and to act on that belief. It takes courage to trust that your absence will be felt even if it's not immediately acknowledged. And when you make that choice, when you choose yourself over staying in a situation that diminishes your worth, you show yourself and the world just how strong you are. But perhaps the most important thing your absence does is give you clarity. When you step back, you create distance. And in that distance, you gain perspective. You begin to see things more clearly, the patterns, the red flags, the ways in which you've been undervaluing yourself. You begin to understand what you truly want, what you truly need, and what you're no longer willing to accept. And with that clarity comes the power to make better choices, to set healthier boundaries, and to create a life that reflects your worth. Your absence also teaches you the power of silence. In a world that's constantly noisy, constantly demanding our attention, silence can be revolutionary. It can be a way of saying, I don't need to explain myself. I don't need to justify my worth. I don't need to fight for a place in your life. Silence can be a form of resistance, a way of reclaiming your power, and a way of showing that you don't need to engage in drama or conflict to prove your point. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. Ultimately, your absence is a testament to your self-respect. It's a declaration that you won't settle for less than you deserve. It's a reminder that you are not defined by how much you're needed, but by how much you value yourself. And when you embrace that truth, when you let your absence speak for you, you create a life where you're no longer chasing after people or situations that don't honor your worth. Instead, you create a life where your presence is a gift, not a given a life where you're valued, respected, and appreciated for exactly who you are. Let them feel the void. It's a bold statement, one that requires a level of self-assurance and confidence that doesn't come easily. We often fear the idea of stepping back, of creating space, of allowing others to experience what it's like without us. We worry that if we're not constantly present, constantly available, constantly giving, we'll be forgotten. But the truth is, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is let people feel what it's like when you're not there. Let them feel the void. Let them experience the absence of your light, your energy, your love. Because it's in that void that they'll truly understand your value. When you're always there, always showing up, always giving, it's easy for others to take you for granted. It's easy for them to assume that you'll always be there no matter what. They stop appreciating the little things you do, the ways you make their lives easier, the ways you bring joy and comfort into their world. But when you step back, when you create that space, they begin to notice. They begin to see the ways you've been holding things together, the ways you've been pouring into them, the ways you've been making their lives better. And in that space, they begin to feel the void. They begin to realize what they've been missing. Letting them feel the void isn't about playing games or manipulating others. It's about creating an opportunity for them to see your worth. It's about giving them the chance to recognize what you bring to the table, not because you've told them, but because they've experienced it for themselves. It's about allowing them to feel the impact of your absence so they can truly appreciate your presence. And sometimes that's the only way people will understand. Sometimes they need to feel the void to realize what they've been taking for granted. But letting them feel the void is also about you. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about recognizing that you don't have to constantly prove your worth to anyone. It's about understanding that your value isn't determined by how much you give or how much you're needed. It's about giving yourself the space to breathe, to reflect, and to remember who you are outside of the relationship or situation. It's about prioritizing your own well-being, even if it means stepping back for a while. When you let them feel the void, you also create an opportunity for growth for them and for you. For them, it's a chance to reflect on their own behavior, to recognize the ways they've been neglecting your needs, and to make changes if they want to keep you in their life. For you, it's a chance to see how much you've been pouring into something or someone, and to decide whether it's worth continuing. It's a chance to reassess your priorities, to set healthier boundaries, and to make choices that align with your worth. Letting them feel the void requires courage. It requires you to trust that your absence will be felt even if it's not immediately acknowledged. It requires you to believe in your own value even when others don't see it. And it requires you to be okay with the possibility that they might not change, that they might not step up, that they might not fight for you. But even if they don't, even if your absence doesn't lead to the outcome you hope for, it still serves a purpose. It still reminds you and them that you are not someone who can be easily replaced. Ultimately, letting them feel the void is about honoring yourself. It's about recognizing that you deserve to be valued, respected, and appreciated. It's about understanding that your presence is a gift, not a given. And when you let them feel the void, you create a life where you're no longer settling for less than you deserve. You create a life where your worth is non-negotiable and where your absence speaks louder than your presence ever could. Move forward, not backward. It's a simple phrase, but it carries a profound truth. Life has a way of pulling us back to old habits, old relationships, old ways of thinking that no longer serve us. We find ourselves revisiting the past, replaying old mistakes, and rekindling connections that we know deep down aren't good for us. But here's the thing, growth doesn't happen in the rearview mirror. It happens when we choose to move forward, even when it's hard, even when it's scary, even when the familiar feels safer than the unknown. Moving forward means letting go of what's behind you. It means releasing the grip you have on the past, the regrets, the what ifs, the relationships that didn't work out, the opportunities that slipped through your fingers. It's